Loibner-Waitkus.
Okay, I am Alan Loibner-Waitkus, and this is Intro to Digital Photography. And I'm happy tomorrow. My new microphone is delivered. I'm using one of those lavalier mics, lapel mics that pulls my shirt down. So hopefully tomorrow it's one that when you stand up on a tripod, oddly enough, and so hopefully that one will be a little better quality because I have to do a ton of adjusting to the audio with this before I can post these videos because it's too loud or whatever. So anyway, what I want to do is just a quick video to go over some feedback on your object assignment and then to introduce your assignment number 2, which is a person. So your grades are posted. If you did not get your assignment in, there was some confusion about, I mentioned maybe moving it back a week, and then I was never really 100% clear. If you haven't got it in yet, I'll give you till this Saturday at midnight. The other thing is those of you who aren't happy with your grades are more than happy to, I'll give you that same amount of time so you can reshoot and resubmit if you'd like to. The grades were the best that they've been, and I'm hoping that that's actually maybe due in part, seriously, in doing this 23 years. Well, I really taught my first photography workshop at 17, and then I've been teaching on it for all this time. What am I trying? Oh, let's do feedback. Let's talk about this assignment. Number 1. In 23 years, I've had this rule, and it was a little harder to follow with the film days because you really didn't know what you were going to get until you went in the dark room or you sent your film off to be processed. Now it's instantaneous, so there's no reason, none, for a photo to be turned in if it's not in focus. Okay, now I mean, some of you were playing with focus and focusing on one part and throwing the rest out with depth of field, and usually I got that. I'm talking about photos that are just completely out of focus and clearly not on purpose. So that's a huge issue. You can take, you can erase the photo as soon as you take it if it's out of focus. You only have to turn in 5 images. There's no reason to be, I kind of wish I could do college all over again with photography because of just the endless shooting possibilities you have. So there's no excuse. And again, don't give me it's my camera and I can't afford a good camera and I'm using a camera phone. I went to Berlin and Amsterdam this summer and decided for the first time ever that I was not taking a camera, and I shot everything with my camera phone. And again, I'm no magician here, but I mean, I got photos that are perfectly usable. They're not going to be, on the cover of photography magazines, but they could have gotten me an A in here. So the point is, there's just no excuse for that. The other thing while we're on focus, well, let's move into angle. We can work on those angles, work on that rule of thirds, work on really pushing yourself in variety, work on playing with light, and then finally, and this is true for anything, a lot of people want to shoot outside, which is great, but if you can't control the depth of your field on the camera, you have to be aware of what's behind and work on angle and things to eliminate that. Other people's houses, your car, things like that are just huge distractions and make for very difficult. It's really hard for me to give you an A on assignment when I'm having to look at, a car in the background or somebody coming in and out of their house or whatever. So be aware of that. And so the other thing I want to stress too is call me. I don't do a whole lot of intense feedback on those things on assignments. I kind of give you a few pointers and then hope you'll call so I can explain to you. We can arrange a time when I'm home. We'll arrange a time when I'm home to pull up your photos, go over them, and all that other stuff. So feel free to call me. Now, for your next assignment, the first thing we need to discuss is choosing what you're going to shoot. You're doing one person. You're going to turn in 5 images of one person, and with just like the object, I want to see a variety of angles, a variety of lighting situations. Don't just throw somebody against a brick wall and take 5 photos. Play around with light, play around with those other things. The other thing too to consider here is choosing that person. You want to choose someone who you can work with, or whom you can work with. You don't want to, a lot of people want to do their kids, and that's why they took this class. That's fine, but again, children are difficult to work with. You want somebody you can kind of push around, and is you'll discover pretty quickly, you know, one of the reasons good print models for, one of the things qualities photographers look for are people who can take direction well and shut up and not complain constantly. And so don't choose your whiny friend who's going to tell you what to do or not be happy with the positioning or make you erase every photo because it's not flattering or whatever. Now, we will look. I'm going to do some links to some famous photographers on the website, on the classes site. A lot of these are celebrity photographers. That's just part of the problem. There are famous photographers out there who don't do celebrity stuff, but most of the good ones, if they want to make money, that's what they have to do. The other thing too, I want to warn you in advance, when we're in a class, and I kind of have to be careful here with not going crazy with copyrighted images, so I can't do a whole lot of that. When I'm in a class, I pull up the images and we do in advance and kind of go through them and we discuss them and that kind of stuff. And here, I'll give you some links to some websites, usually specific photographers, and you get to root around on your own. This is your trigger warning, which I don't do in other classes, but in here, especially on Robert Mapplethorpe's site, you may find yourself looking at a photo that if you're easily offended, you may find offensive. A lot of these photographers do nudes. That's part of it's part of how it works. Now, will have this question: can you shoot a nude? Sure, is the simple answer. But just remember, make sure it's tasteful and in good lighting. That's the key. Remember, we talked about that before. The difference between pornography and art is lighting. So make sure you're lighting the photograph correctly, and that it's well lit and dramatic and works. And speaking of controversial photographers, I think I mentioned Robert Mapplethorpe. If you're a reader, an avid reader, Patti Smith, the famous singer, was dated, and even though he was gay and ultimately died of AIDS, when they were kids growing up, or not, they say the book's entitled just Kids. But they sort of met each other when they were relatively young, right out of high school, and lived together. And he became a famous photographer. She became a famous singer-songwriter, and the rest is kind of history. And a few years ago, she wrote a book called Just Kids that sort of blew everyone away and won the National Book Award. So here's a photo of the book. You can look and see. If you're interested, I heavily recommend it. It won the National Book Award, which is tough to do. It is a pretty amazing book. And I'm going to show you some photos of her that he took that are famous here, and a photo of him. And so, anyway, that's all I have to say on that. If you've got any more questions, just give me a call. And again, one last time, if it's not in focus, don't turn it in. There's no reason for that. See you next time.
For the way Your